have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas for society. Keep killing them, telling me, I have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas for society. Keep killing them, telling me.
ID.
This license says you Indian.
Maybe I ought to eat your cornbread.
Shit. Oh, motherfucker, you can't have my cornbread. That's for damn sure. Because if you try to take my cornbread, part 2 of my killing spree gonna begin up in here on your ass right now. If you think about my cornbread, they get the taste out your mouth. That's for damn sure. Now, fuck him. Fuck that. Because I'm from New York City, goddammit. Nobody take no cornbread from me. And that go for you and any other you motherfucking farmers want to try some shit.
Living in America. There's nothing wrong.
This bitch is my mama. And yours too. Except I know it's mine.
I have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas for society. Keep killing them, telling me, I have one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas for society. Keep killing them, telling me, house nigga, real nigga, fake nigga, feel nigga. My skin ain't black, what the deal, nigga? Salute on my real shit, it's Aborigines, owners of the land and every goddamn tree and every goddamn sea. Invaders ever cross the step foot on the land, and you can step the fuck off. Breathe, you can make a swing the sacred tomahawk. Fucking around with us with that black conscious talk. Fake pics of slave ships, that's the reference. If we African, look, you gon' need more evidence. I'm American, Aboriginal, Indigenous, Shibogi DNA test. That shit is rhetoric, stay woke. Aboriginal, get out. Your civil rights acts, all you can eat, big out. The Stockholm syndrome, make skits out. Phoenix Moon got the antidote, get that shit out. Meanwhile, I'm rapping about my birthright, fuck a freestyle. Teach each man, each woman, each child. Black race is really Indians indeed now. Man, they indeed now. Holly Dole, Title 18, G goes. Pilgrims get big gold with Phoenix and Beast Mode. Bringing my peoples out of the sleep mode. We ain't black, colors, Africans, or Negros. But one little, two little, three little Indian grandmas for society. Keep killing them, telling them.
OCO, what's happening, beautiful people? Grand elevations to you, beautiful people. What's happening, Indians? It's Native American Indian Heritage Month, because we know that the American Indian came before the Native American. I guess we're going to have to walk down that path again, too, because it seems like we always have to go back and backtrack to defend our fucking ancestry to people that really haven't studied theirs in full, in totality. Right? So this is a big concern, and it's a concern. And, you know, I like to educate people. It's not a big deal. Yeah, so let's give them the drop, because first, before we distinguish what type of Negro people are, we gotta make sure that is compartmentalized, right? Who are the Negroes and what kind of Negro are you talking about? Because I know for a fact that there are Negroes that look like Donald Trump, as well as Negroes that look like Wesley Snipes. So if you want to make it about what a nigga look like, you're not going to understand him fully who and what a Negro is. And I'll tell you, we're going to start from the origin. Let's go to the etymology. Can't never get tired. The etymology points out geographic, talks about who's speaking in the conversation, who they're talking about, from what perspective they're speaking about said people. Yeah, let's get into it. Good morning, Dr. Fontaine, and good morning, Gator. What's happening with you beautiful folks? How y'all doing?
OCO, Kamawingapo to you, Phoenix. It's a great day. Indian country. Happy American Indian History Month, Heritage Month to you, Gator. Good to be here. Good to have this discussion today.
OCO, it's still kind of early for me. I'm about to sit back and see what's popping. A lot of people need to fall back. I would say about one step, but probably two steps, and really understand what exactly they looking at in their trees.
Well, I definitely second that. Let's get to the straight to the etymology. And then I'm going to pull up these maps and stuff like that, because the maps also indicate who was around, what they were calling the place, whether or not they were incorporated or not, right? Incorporation, we going to act like that's not a thing. Commercial activity, we going to act like that hasn't been a thing since the days of the Bible, right? 1666, there was already people here being brought in as slaves to what we now call the United States. And let's just shrivel it up and go to the 13 colonies. Because also some of these people that were called Negroes are considered free white people. How come they never mention that? When they speak about the Negro, they drag them straight to the continent of Africa, no particular place, but the Negro has a place in Africa that is separate from the rest of the people of the continent also. So I want to make sure that it's really clear so people can identify what type of Negro they are. I claim my Negro. I claim my Negro to the point where I exposed the European lineage that married into my family in the 1600s, all the way back to King James. And then, in addition to the European that married into my Indian family, guess what? They are also related to people in Europe that never stepped foot in America. They was dead 200 years before America was even a thought to these people. But nonetheless, still related to these Europeans. And I have a right to speak. I always talk shit about the Bible because my grandpappy wrote it. He put the shit together. Yes, and I get to clear up certain things regarding the Bible, regarding King James, and some of the other Europeans as well. And there's some notable things that are being missed. Notable things that are being missed. So I call a spade, even if the spade is me. Yeah, let's talk about it. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up the etymology. And also a very, very important, useful tool. Very useful tool that, as a genealogist, is very helpful, and it gives you a focal point. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain, they are very, very, I would say, what's the word? Aloof when it comes down to detailing the information in North America. Okay, in the United States. But other places in the world, they do a pretty good job. But because of the red tape and bureaucracy, of course, when it comes to America, they give it away. They give it away to the United States, America, not necessarily South or Central.
And that's the interesting thing, because they never thought that folks would actually take the time, peel back the layers, right? And really synthesize uh, what basically was going on with these folks prior to colonialist intervention, right? And even during colonialist intervention, because now we know that some of those people who were the colonizers actually became the chief or the king in some instances.
You're right about that. All right, I think I'm going to start with this right here. Yeah, so there is no confusion. We're going to walk back to these Negroes. Okay. Let's get here. All right. Okay. A member of a black-skinned race of Africa, from Spanish or Portuguese, Negro. Okay. From Spanish and Portuguese. Not only are those the people giving the description, but we will find out who they are talking about in their description. Latin, nigrum, nominative, nominative, Niger, black, dark, sable, dusky, applied to the night sky. A storm, the complexion, figuratively gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked, according to Van, a word unknown etymology. According to Watkins, perhaps from Proto-Indo-European. That's what pi means. Newt, night. The Latin word was also applied to the black peoples of Africa, but the usual terms were Ethiops and Afar. Okay, we're going to stop right there. Now, let me go get the map.
Did they say Apioc?
Ethiops, like that's Ethiopians. We're going to get the map. Let's go get the map. And that does say 1550s, right? 1550s, a member of the
Yes,
black
ma'am.
skin of Africa. Okay, so let's go get a map from the 1550s.
While you're doing that, Moon, I also think it's very interesting um, with the Proto-Indo-European designation.
Oh, yeah. That is, go ahead, you can expound. Absolutely.
Yeah, just because a lot of times when we think of traditional Europe, um, current day Europe, we think of more so Western Europe. So England, Great Britain, Scotland, Ireland, France, even certain sections of, Germany, Brussels, maybe even the Scandinavian countries, even Finland, Norway, Sweden, Luxembourg. Yeah, when I hear proto Indo, when I ever hear Indo, it makes me think of inside of a country. So I'm like, okay, well, if we're talking Indo, we're not talking the Western European countries. We're talking more inner European. So we might be talking about those more Central European countries. Like right before back then it turned to Asia Minor. So then I start thinking about, those centralized countries like Slovakia, Slovenia, Czechoslovakia, Brandenburg, Bavaria, Bohemia, Westphalia,
Yep.
Prussia, Austria, Hungary. I start thinking of all those countries. And then when I hear the root word proto, for me, that means like, oh, you got to be talking about an original people and everything. I don't like saying aboriginal because that's the cousins over in the Pacific, but definitely folks before colonialist intervention. I just wanted to add that part while you found the map.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Let's get to this map. Now, 1554, Sebastian Munster map, and this was done between 1489 and 1552. And this is Toitius Africae Tabula. All right. And you got some Latin here. And matter of fact, let's just grab this right here. And this also destroys their fucking timeline. And why I say it destroys their timeline, there's one important name right here. What's that important name? Ptolemy. Ptolemy. Why are they making Ptolemaic maps in the 1500s? Who is commissioning these Prussian scholars and cartographers such as Sebastian Munster and Wildemüller? Who is commissioning them to make Ptolemaic maps if the Ptolemaic line is still in existence? Who are they hidden into? They got absorbed into somebody. You go from Cleopatra, who's a Ptolemaic descendant, all the way to Julius Caesar and Mark Antony and other Romans, right? Ptolemy, that dynasty, that Ptolemaic dynasty, is still around in the 1500s. But I will tell you, they are, what's the word? Again, absorbed into a different family under a different name or a different group, politically, tribally, ethnically. Let's get this etymology here. Let's get the translator. Let's get the translator for this right here. Okay. A map of the whole of Africa and a universal description extending even beyond the limits of Ptolemy. So, what are the limits of Ptolemy? What were the limits of Ptolemy outside of their grasp, right? Yeah, hold on. Okay, so let's check this map out. Here's Africa right here. The only place called Africa. Definitely not the continent. Is not called Africa yet because Africa is right here. This little city, this little state right here in modern day Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco. This is before Negro land, okay? Before Negro land. And look here, we have Ethiopia here in Central West Africa. Isn't that interesting? Before, it was over here in the East, close to the Middle East, what they now call the Middle East, because all of that was connected prior to the Suez Canal, right? Where you could walk from Egypt to Jerusalem, and it would have took Moses 6 days, according to Google directions. 6 days. But according to that story, it took him 40 years to walk 6 days away. Okay. So anywho, yeah, we have these kingdoms here. And let's take a look at West Africa. Let me blow this up a little bit so we can see. Here's Carthage over here. And here's the kingdom of Tunis, right? Which is now Tunisia. Got the Mori here. Barbaria, right? Where the Berbers are. There is no Morocco yet. Okay. No Morocco yet. And let's take a look at West Africa. Garafi, Garrus. You got Atlas, right? King Atlas. Okay. And these are all kingdoms. He's got a really, really large crown right here. Right? You know, the larger the writing on maps, you know, the bigger the jurisdiction, right? So here we go. Negrisha. Oh, Isn't that what they ended up calling this area, this northern area of Africa, eventually, prior to Negro land? Yeah. Yes, here we go. Tunisia, right? And we have this kingdom here, Hippa. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's go back. Let's go back. As an adjective from the 1590s, with the capital N became general nearly early 20th century. So with the capital N as a noun, right? An adjective from the 1590s, and then in the early of 20th centuries, the capital N for the noun. And of course, if we scroll down, meaning African American vernacular, I don't think we need to go through that. The English language as spoken by U.S. blacks is from 1704. French Negre is a 16th century borrowing from Spanish Negro. Older English words were more and blackamoor. A Middle English word for Ethiopian, perhaps also Negro, generally was blue man. Who's a blue man? Africa, African. Let me go to Africa first before we go to African. Give me 1 second. I forgot you gotta pretty much change the slide. Okay. All right. So here we go. Africa. Latin, Africa, terra, African land, Libya, the Carthaginian territory, the province of Africa, Africa as a continent, feminine of adjective Africus, from afar, and African, a word of uncertain origin. The Latin word originally used only in reference to the region around modern Tunisia. It gradually was extended to the whole continent. Derivation from a Phoenician cognate of the Arabic afar, dust, earth, is tempting. The Middle English word was Afrique. African, 1580s, from Latin, Africus, also sometimes used as a noun. African, let's go here. Old English, Africanus, a native or inhabitant of Africa. So wait a minute. Are they squeezing everybody into this map? They squeezing everybody. All life started here, prior to the continent. What's happening here?
Yup. Seem like the Democrats, one big tent party, eh?
All right, hold on, let me get it back. It's not letting me switch back and forth the way I'd like, but okay. So all the people came from here. Is that what they're saying? Everybody. All plants, trees, fruits, vegetables, animals, everything, all life came from here. Is that what they're saying? I want to know who could support that. Where's the proof of that? Where's the proof of that? So we're going to talk about who they're talking about, and I want this to be very clear. I want this to be very clear how close in proximity. Let me send this picture. Hold on 1 second. I might have to sign in for my other. Give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, here we go. All right, so now we see what that Ptolemaic junk was about, right? So I want people to like explain to me how they're related to these folks. That would be helpful, because just the one big Negro story isn't gonna do much. All right, so hold on. Let's get these folks right here. Let me get a map of Negro land for you too. We probably could slide right through these same maps right here. Hold on. Let me go back. Okay. So, wait a minute. Because they got to come better with these Negroes, man. And who these Negroes are. And I could assure you, and then we're going to circle back and show you who the 1619 Negroes were that came here. Yeah, let's see. We got Negro land on here somewhere. And I believe that map was from the 1750s. Hold on 1 second. Okay. I had to send it to Discord and bring it back. Hold on 1 second.
Yes. Looking at that now. It says Romani slaves were first shipped to the Americas with Columbus in 1498. Spain sent Romani slaves to their Louisiana colony between 1762. That's during the 7 Years' War, right? And 1800. An Afro-Romani community exists in St. Martin Parish, due to intermarriage of freed, quote unquote, African American and Romani slaves. So it's my understanding that the Romanis were those folks from like northern India, like I guess that would be
Yes,
like
they are the
Hindustan or
folks.
Rajasthan, and the folks that mixed in with like the Slovaks, the Slovenians, the Slovakians, the
The,
Czechoslovakians, all of
the
them.
Ethiopians.
Them
Yes,
too, because
the
they
Greeks.
migrated there, right?
Correct.
To that eastern,
Correct.
that central modern day Africa region.
And can we be clear that these are all Caucasians?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what they're classified as. Absolutely. From that Caucasus mountain region. Yeah,
From
absolutely. Geographic.
Caucasians to Negroes? Is that what happened? From Caucasians to Negroes.
Yes, ma'am. It's looking like from Caucasian to Negro, like a new series, like Colonizer Chief. Indeed.
Absolutely. So the Romani slaves were first shipped to the Americas with Columbus in 1498. Okay, hold on. Let's go check out these Romanis. Who's the Romani Negros? Because they would be classified as Europeans by modern day standards. Yes, indeed. Again, the Roma in Italy. Okay, here we go. Here we go. The Italian Roma community is one of the largest ethnic minorities in Italy. Though the exact size of the community is uncertain, it is estimated that there are between 120,000 and 180,000 Roma in the country, a significant portion of whom lack Italian citizenship. Many are concentrated in settlements on the periphery of cities where they are at risk of eviction or targeted attacks. Okay, so let's go here. Let's go to the Romani. Give me 1 second. Let's see.
You know who one of the most famous Roma is in like literature, or like that I always think of from
Who's that?
From a Disney movie. Remember the Hunchback of Notre Dame and Esmeralda?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Esmeralda was a Romani gypsy.
Yes.
And don't the gypsies come from modern day North Africa, Egypt?
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
indeed.
And wasn't the
Also,
Hunchback of Notre Dame set in modern day France or Gaul?
yep.
See how this is all
Interesting you say
connecting?
that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting that you say that. Again, same place where the words black come from, the same place where the word white comes from, the same place where Negro comes from, Europe. Where the African comes from, Europe. Yeah, very interesting. So hold on, let's get these Romanis right here. Let's get these Romanis. Hold on. What is... Hold on. So it's for Spain. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Profile Roma Gypsies in Spain. Profile historical context, current issues of the estimated 725,000, 750,000 Roma, also known as gypsies. Gypsy is a form of what? Egyptian. A name many consider derogatory. In Spain, nearly half of the population lives in Andalusia, with the rest residing primarily in Catalonia, Valencia, Madrid. A large number of Roma arrived in Spain from Romania after 2002. There are understood to be two main historic groups of Roma in Spain: Gitanos, belonging to the Calo subgroup, living mostly in the Iberian Peninsula and Northern Africa, and Hungaros. Both groups face poverty and social exclusion. However, Gitano Roma tend to embody a wider range. Let me get to the map. Get you some more details. Okay. Yeah. Let's view the country page. Here we go. Spain. These are the communities. You got the Basque, the Catalans, the Galicians, Roma Gypsies, Valencians. Okay. Let's go back to the Roma. Okay. We read this part. There are understood to be two main historic groups of Roma in Spain: Gitanos, belonging to the Calo subgroup, living mostly in the Iberian Peninsula and Northern Africa, and Hungaros. Both groups face poverty and social exclusion. However, Gitano Roma tend to embody a wider range in terms of their social class and cultural differences. Okay, so we got the Roma here in Spain. So now we know that Roman descendants are the Negros that came here to the Americas since the 1400s. So we know that they are now the first people that Columbus brought with him. These are the so-called Africans that Columbus brought with him. People having a hard time? Are they having a hard time with that?
Yep. They don't like that. They
So
want
now,
that door of no return. They want the Africa.
that's right. And we're going to walk them down now, because let's walk it back down.
It's very interesting having this conversation because the
I
other
was just
day.
looking, and y'all couldn't. Can y'all see the cursor? I was asking. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was having a whole conversation.
I don't see the cursor just yet. Do you see it, Gator?
Right up here by Spain.
Oh,
Now,
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I want people to see how close this is. What's that, about 10 to 60 nautical miles away? So essentially, someone could swim from Portugal or Spain to the continent.
Absolutely. It's less than what Cuba is to Florida. And we know Florida and Cuba are pretty close. So it's even less than that, y'all.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that was really clear. So back to these Romas. The Roma gypsies. Let's see who these other folks are. The Basque. You know, it's interesting because in Spain, they speak Catalan. They speak Aragon. They do not speak Spanish in Spain. Isn't that interesting? The only place where Spanish is spoken is in the so-called Latin Americas. And the Latin Americas by way of who? Where did Columbus go? He went to the Caribbean. They made it to South America, right? Because right after Columbus, you have Vespucci, Magellan. Where did they go? South and Central America. And I'm also going to fuck some heads up because I'm going to show you these maroons. The maroons are the Creoles. The Creoles are the Europeans. The Europeans are these free white people that were taken with Columbus, these so-called Africans, into South Central America and the Caribbean. Do they want to talk about it? Y'all want to talk about it?
They still saying Columbus came to America, and we know that the lie detector test determined that is a lie. So yeah, let's walk them on down.
Oh, Cousin Pam has a very interesting statement, and I'm going to post it because yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And also, I want to make it clear that these people may be the bastard children of some very prominent families, namely the Habsburgs. We're going to talk about it. Are we going to talk about it? Right? Because I have no shame in my game. Genealogy is the fucking issue. It's the situation. Okay? And this also allows us to know exactly who everybody is, not just ourselves. This is for everybody. Genealogy is for everybody. And it's time that everybody get on board and know exactly what it is that their folks were doing during all of these questionable times. Because what happens is people are getting very upset when the Indian goes and claims her shit back. When we go get our cornbread back, people get very upset. And they like to give a lot of credit away to people that it don't belong to. So if everybody is aware of who they are and what their history is, the world would be a better place. It's not hard to point out the thief. Scratch a thief and find, what you say, scratch a lie and find the thief. Yeah. Let me get this next slide up. So let's walk these Romani slaves down. If these are the first slaves, who is the African? These Romani would absolutely be part of the original Africans because they descend from the Proto-Indo-European as well as the Romans, right? And we could further ascertain that this is a fact. And, you know, we don't really fuck with Wiki, but let's just go see what they talking about. And we can break over from there. Romani Americans are Americans who have full or partial Romani ancestry. It is estimated that there are 1 million Romani people in the United States, though the Romani population in the United States has largely assimilated into the American society. The largest concentrations are in Southern California, Pacific Northwest, Southwestern states, Texas, Louisiana, Florida, Northeast, as well as such cities as Chicago, Cleveland, and St. Louis. The Romani or Roma are a nomadic ethnic group, often pejoratively referred to as gypsies, who have been in the Americas since the first Romani people reportedly arrived on Columbus's third voyage in 1498. The largest wave of Romani immigrants came from the Balkans, Transylvania, Wallachia, and Moldavia region in the late 19th century following the abolition of slavery in Romania in 1864. Romani immigration into the United States continued at a steady rate ever since, with an increase of Romani immigration occurring in the late 20th century following the Parajmos in Nazi Germany and its occupied European territories, and then the collapse of communism in Central and Eastern Europe. Okay? Yes, so let's go get some pictures. You want to see what the Romanis look like? Oh, here's an encampment. These are your Romani Negros.
Wallachia.
Negros. Let me get this picture up. Here's the Romani Negros.
Didn't know that Romania, or the Romanian land, also known as Terra Romanesca, the Romanian Old Country.
Here go them Negros right here. These are your Romani Negros.
Somebody play that song by Cher. You remember that song by Cher? Gypsies,
Gypsy.
tramps, and thieves. Da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they was talking about them. That's who Cher was talking about.
Mm.
Yeah, down the Kardashians, yeah, the Armenians, the Romanians, the Wallachians. Yeah, all of them.
I'm a Rukan. I couldn't agree with you more, beloved. Exactly. This is why they keep discouraging us from doing our genealogy. Not just because they don't want us to know who we are, but because they don't want us to know who they are.
That is spot the hell on, Amarukan.
Because the more you do your genealogy, the more you learn about everybody else. And you be like, oh, you come from one of those people. I found in my genealogy.
Isn't that interesting?
Yep, and they
Very,
don't like that
very.
nigger.
Because I be having to play crazy, but then sometimes I be having to play dumb. And when I run across those I find in my tree, I play dumb. I'm like, oh my God. Wait till I find out some more about you so I can say something.
Let me get some more pictures of the Romani. Hold on one second. Just so it's clear. So that's who Columbus brought back with him. These are your Africans. These are the Africans they're talking about. Not just limited to the North African side, but also people that came directly from Spain. Directly from Spain. So are they calling the Spaniards, Italians, and Portuguese? Are they calling them African? I need them to make it clear. Be clear. Let me get some more pictures of the Romani. And while we at it, I think it would be a good idea to go and get exactly the description of gypsies too. Let me do that. And you know what else is interesting about Egypt and all of its splendor and glory? There's no Egyptian language. Where did how the fuck do they know what hieroglyphs are saying? But there is absolutely no Egyptian language. Huh. Okay. Egyptian, late 14th, Egypt, Sion. Adjective and noun. See Egypt. Let's go. See Egypt.
Then if that's the case, that means the people over there, no matter what color they is, claiming that they Egyptians, they not them people. That's the case.
Old English Egypta, the Egyptians, from French, Egypt, from Greek, Egyptos, the river Nile, Egypt, from Armana, Hikupta, corresponding to Egyptian, Hakapta, temple of the soul of Ptah, the creative god associated with Memphis in the ancient city of Egypt. Strictly one of the names of Memphis, it was taken by the Greeks as the name of the whole country. The Egyptian name Kemet means black country, possibly in reference to the rich delta soil. The Arabic is Misir, which is derived from Mizraim, the name of the son of biblical Ham. Okay now. Kemet means black country.
You
Well,
man.
let's go talk about Kemet. Let's go to Kemet. You know why? It's going to be important because you're going to tell me how black Kemet is. Hold on.
Just as black as any Holy Roman Emperor. Man. It's just so interesting to me because that whole region of where Egypt and modern day Ethiopia, what that was all Abyssinia at one region, right? Like, wasn't that was very much frequented by the modern day Italians, Sicilians. Where was the island that Napoleon was exiled to? Saint Helena. like all of that,
Oh, he was
Sardinia,
in Elba.
Elba, okay,
Elba.
yeah. But all of that Mediterranean region there, modern day Italy, very much frequented with that eastern horn of modern day Africa, Somalia, Eritrea, Ethiopia, right? Egypt. It's very baffling to me, man.
Let's get to Kemet. Here we go. Where's Kemet? In motherfucking Austria. Anybody else got a map of Kemet? One attached to the continent of Africa? Let me see. Because we can absolutely prove that the Romans, Egyptians, and some other folks was absolutely messing with these folks here. So now, what we gonna do? Kemet. Let's wind it down. Upper Austria, Lower Austria. Upper Kemet, Lower Kemet. Hold on, let's go. This is the only map of Kemet.
And that joint smack dab in the middle of Europe. Wow.
Here's Vienna. Czechia. Prague. And this is now Austria. Right? Slovenia. Isn't this interesting? These are the same places where the very words black and white come from. It isn't, I just can't get over that interesting caveat. Here's Kemet right here. Hold on.
Y'all think the candy lady open?
Too much candy for $1, baby. Let's go. Black. 1200. Intransitive. Become black. How do you become black? Either you is or you ain't, right? Either you is or you ain't. Early 14th century. Transitive. Make black. Darken. Put a black color on. From black. Especially clean and polished. Boots, shoes, etc. By blacking and brushing them. Now that's the 1200. Circa 1200. So you got your 12th century black usage of the word. To make black, to darken, to put a black color on. Old English Blake, the color black. Also ink from noun, use of black. It is attested from the late 14th century. First of all, we done started here, right? We done started up here and doesn't give you a specific place. Right? But when it starts talking about Old English, now we have a people talking about these so-called Blakes. From the noun use of black. It is attested from late 14th century as dark spot in the pupil of the eye. So it switched from to make a person black, right? Sounds like some mixing and matching, amalgamation, to now in the 14th century, the Old English are saying that it is referred to as the dark spot in the pupil of the eye. The meaning, dark-skinned person, African, is from 1620s, perhaps late 13th, and blackamoor is from 1540s. The meaning, black clothing, especially when worn, is 1400.
Now look at that epoch that they're discussing, Mo. That would have been still around the time that you had Moors and the modern day Iberian Peninsula, right?
Correct.
And they would have still been doing commerce using physiognomy, right? Using the facial characteristics, the countenance, the eye, all of that stuff to do business based on the complexion of one's color, their skin, and their facial features.
Yep. Yep. Very, very interesting. I want them. Does anybody who objects have a valid map of Kemet? Do they have another map of Kemet that puts them in on the continent of Africa?
I highly doubt it. And this is interesting, right? As you read out how the adjective or how the descriptors change from making a specific area on the body black to making the entire body or entire society of people quote unquote black. Now, this is where you get the Holy Roman Empire flip, right?
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. Now, going back to that Holy Roman Empire, I guess we're gonna have to walk down that road, right? We're gonna have to walk down that road to definitely expound on who these Negroes are, right? Who these so-called Africans are. I gotta. Let me show this perspective right here too. Hold on one second.
And while Phoenix is doing that, if you haven't done so, please smash that like. Feel free to share the room out. If you haven't done so, Urban Indian Heritage Society, as you probably have heard by now, has its petition for the misclassified North Americans and American Indians. If you haven't done so, feel free to sign, read, and absolutely share the petition out via your social media platforms. Feel free to send it to your family, send it to a friend, send it to that one person that says that, they got Indian in their family. We always ask, well, where'd the Indian go? We just wanted to take that time, let you know a little bit about the petition and UIHS.
Here's a Romani woman right here. Hold on. Let's pull her up.
Moon, you know what I thought about as you was talking about Kemet in Vienna? I think I may have referenced this before, but one of my favorite classical composers is Fritz Kreisler. After we inspect this, photo of the Romani lady on the screen, I'd like you to pull up Fritz Kreisler, followed by a picture of Karl Marx.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, this is a Romani Negress. Also a Negro woman. Anybody got any objections? Any clapbacks?
I have no unreadiness. Negro woman, yes, ma'am.
Let's find some more folks. Hold on. Negro land. Again, where the Romani people are from. Oh, Got some other interesting shit I want to share too, because I want y'all to see Guinea on the map right underneath Negro land, right? Is it clear? Let me pull it up so a little larger so you guys can see. Guinea. Who are the Guineas? Guinea, Ghana, same folks. Ghana, Guinea, same folks. Well, where did the Guineas actually come from? Anybody? Oh, let's see. Let's see where the Guineas actually come from. Okay, so this is a map of the Treaty of Brittany from 1300s. Okay, 1360s maybe. Let's pull this up. See the Guinea?
Yes, ma'am.
1300s. This is where the Guinea came from. This is where the Guinea came from, which is this modern day France right now. You see Spain down here, Navarro, Aragon, the language that they speak in Spain, because it ain't Spanish. Aragon, there's Navarre. Okay, here's Guinea right here. Is that clear? Can you see it?
They speak Castilian on that in Spain too, right?
Yes, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Guinea, this is the 1300s. So 1300s precedes what place they call in Africa, right? Because they started calling that place Africa after the fact, 1700s before it even took hold to the whole continent. So I need to know what Ghanaian, what Guineas you got before the 1300s or in the 1300s. Here's your Guineas. Oh, and if you look at the family where Angola comes from, where the word Angola, the Angolese, you can see them there. Also some French Portuguese mix. What's happening here? What's happening here? What kind of Negroes is they talking about? What kind of Negroes? It's important. Thank you, Miss Antoinette. It's very important that we discuss what kind of Negroes are people talking about. Because my 1619 Negro come from right here, Italy. What are we talking about? Erroneously misclassified, called Africans, but treated like Europeans. What are we talking about? Anybody got a map of an earlier map of Guinea? This is the 1300s. And I'm going to also show you. Let's go to the etymology of Guinea. Don't let them confuse you. See, in 2030, it's going to be completely different. And why I say that is because now they have moved some of the free white people, such as Somalians and Ethiopians. They will now be able to identify as, they will then be able to identify as Black. That's for the 2030 census. They will then be able to identify as whatever Black they want to. And if they want to stay white, they certainly can, whatever, right? Because we know the people in North Africa are free white people when they came here. I want to make sure that's clear. So you got people Black as Wesley Snipes that were considered white and therefore not subject to the people that were dubbed and termed Negro and Black. Let's get this right here. And now I'm going to go to Guinea. What's a guinea? Who's a guinea? Former British coin from 1660s from Guinea, because the coins were first minted for British trade with Guinea, but soon in domestic use with gold from Africa. The original guinea was in use from 1663 to 1813. Guinea, region along the west coast of Africa, presumably from an African word, perhaps Tuareg. Now, wait a minute. I'm going to stop right there, because what is an African word? The only people that speak Afrikaans, the only people that speak African are Dutch. The only people that speak Afrikaans are Dutch, European, Slovak, Romani, Guinea. Yes, people from Austria, people from Norway. Yes, yes, yes. Those are your Afrikaans. Elon Musk is an Afrikaan. He descends from the Afri. He descends from the Roman Empire that is in Austria, Italy, France, Europe. Region along the west coast of Africa, presumably an African word, perhaps Tuareg, Agenor, black people, as a derogatory term for an Italian. It is from Guinea Negros, 1740s, black person or person of mixed ancestry, applied to Italians probably because of their dark complexions. Ain't no probably. Relative to Northern Europeans. And after 1911, it was occasionally applied to Hispanics and Pacific Islanders as well. New Guinea was so named 1546 by Spanish explorer Inigo Ortiz de Retes in reference to natives' dark skin and tightly curled hair. The guinea hen is a domestic fowl imported from there. Okay. Why would they call the Italian the guinea? I think we just saw that on the map. And they like to play around and say that presumably ain't no goddamn presumably nothing. The Afrikaan, if it meant presumably from an African word, they talk about Afrikaans. And the Afrikaans are pilgrims. Who are the Afrikaans? And now all of a sudden, with this mysterious, nobody in Africa has an African language. Ain't that funny? Nobody in Africa, so-called from Africa, speaks Afrikaans except the Afrikaans. Let's go back. Except the Afrikaans. Hold on.
Now, Moan, one thing I want to remind folks, because you brought up those Afrikaans. After now we know who Columbus brought to America, right? But now we need to familiarize ourselves with who was brought to modern day Africa, specifically South Africa, where these Dutch Afrikaners were, right? Because we also know that Vasco da Gama, also a conquistador from Braganza, modern day Portugal, that Iberian Peninsula. It was a lot popping off on that Iberian Peninsula in the late 1400s. We also know that Vasco da Gama, they little pit stop, they ducky, was the Cape of Good Hope. That was in South Africa. But what was they doing? They was going to Calcutta. They was going to modern day India. They was going to Bharat, Hindustan, right? To do commerce, trade, get spices, and also do commerce in getting bodies and getting people and getting transportation, right? So you don't think that some of those folks from Bharat just so happened to settle or to do commerce as Vasco da Gama was going back and forth from Dutch Afrikaans, South Africa to Portugal? You see how some of these Romani Negroes may have ended up in South Africa too, and in modern day
Absolutely.
Portugal, in modern day Guinea as well. There's a lot of commerce going on.
And the interesting timing of it all, as the collapse where they're breaking up the Habsburgs' happy little Roman Empire, the people that was against them or the people that ended up being enslaved were the ones they're throwaways. So they get sent to South Africa, and here you got, they are the Afrikaans. They are the Africans. Isn't that interesting? The Afrikaners. The Germanic language of South Africa, the Dutch language as spoken in South Africa. 1892 from Dutch, Afrikaans, Afrikaanisch, see Afrikaner, also known as South African Dutch.
Well, there it is.
1822, South African native of Dutch descent from Dutch, Afrikaner, African, with unetymological D on analogy of Hollander, Englander, Afrikaner. Right? So who's the original African? And if you got these Dutch folks, and we know for sure that they came from where? Proto-Germanic, Proto-Indo-European, also tied back to who? The original Africans. They also related to the Romans, the Afri, the Affair. Where are we going?
Real quick, Moan, can we go back to since you said where we going? Can we go back to Kemet in Vienna real quick?
Absolutely. Hold on 1 second. Absolutely. You want the map?
No, I really want to knock out the part so folks can see in living color. Could you type in the composter Fritz Kreisler? I'll spell the last name for you. It's K-R.
Hold on.
Yes.
You said Fritz what?
Kreisler. Kries.
Ah, here we go. That's Fritz. That's him right there.
Yes, that's an older picture. If you you click on his images, you'll see a more very gallery of what he and his hair look like.
Let's see. Let's try this picture. Oh, that shit kind of thick. He got that Bill Clinton shit. What's going on here? He got that Bill Clinton hair.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh.
Can you refresh the screen? I don't think you can see it.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I forget it before, whatever you show on your screen just was whatever you show. So if I flip back and forth, it used to just let you. Now I have to stop each time I open up a different tab. It's kind of corny. But there you go. You got that Bill Clinton hair. Ain't no dippity do in there. Ain't no conch. Now, expound on why Fritz is important to this description.
I wanted to bring that up specifically because at that time, Vienna in Austria was the bedrock for all things classical music, much like Atlanta is now. And Fritz Kreisler was born smack dab in Austria. So when we think of the people from Austria, like, I don't want folks to get an image of their head. Like, most folks are probably thinking of like somebody that looks like Kate Middleton. No, I want you to get this image, like of individual that looks like Fritz Kreisler, or individual that looks like Karl Marx. Would you be able to pull up a picture of Karl Marx as well, Moon? Because Karl
Absolutely.
Marx also descended from Vienna, from Austria, from that Prussian region. So I just want folks to like really get a look at him, a look at his hair. These are the individuals that would have inhabited that region during the 1800s, right? And not late 1800s. We're talking like mid 1800s, right, y'all? So I want y'all to get that snapshot in your head. Yeah. I don't know who fro bigger, his or Frederick Douglass. I mean, come on. Bro got a Sony like he about to go to Jumar. I mean, Austrian, Prussian, yep, Proto-Indo-European.
That hair look a little unruly. That's not the spit and swoop hair.
Definitely not.
Mm. Interesting. Karl Marx, and we have a whole bunch of Marxists running for a position of leader of
Yes,
the
we
free
do.
world. You gotta be fucking joshing me. As irony would have it. Austrian, also descendants from who? The Holy Roman Emperor. You can't make this shit up. And interesting that you brought up, the classical music. Beethoven has some nigga in him. And the actual, what's his name? Alexander Pushkin, right? Pushkin was a so-called black man that created the Russian language. And we know that the Russian language is Chinese Creole. Chinese Pidgin Creole. What's Chinese Pidgin Creole? Anybody want to talk about that? And a Creole is what? A European.
And ain't it interesting that because of that, they will not let Russia in the European Union? Mm-hmm.
Who else would they not let in the European Union? The Caucasians, correct?
Turkey, you are absolutely right.
Didn't they form their own union? When they had established the United Nations, which used to be the League of Nations,
Mm-hmm.
the Caucasians actually had to create their Trans-Caucasian organization because they were not included in free white people,
Well,
nor
isn't
were
it
the
interesting?
Anglo-Saxons. They were not free white people.
Well, that's why they call them the Anglo Americans.
Anglo-American.
And that's now why they have BRICS. Think about it. You got South Africa, India. We already made that connection, right? With the Gama. You got Brazil. We already know the connection there from the Iberian with Brazil, right? what's the last? And then you got China and Russia, and we just made that connection with the Chinese pigeon. Man, it's all connected. There you go, free game.
Kayeta, Russian Chinese pidgin was a contact language, specifically a pidgin used by Russian and Chinese traders to communicate during the 18th, early 20th century. The pidgin owes its name to the town of Kayakta, a Russian town on the border of the Qing Empire's Outer Mongolia, which was the most important border trading point between the two regions for more than a century after its foundation in 1728. Yeah. What is Chinese pigeon? Anybody? So what kind of Negro are these folks talking about when they say Negro? The European Negro that settled in North Africa or got kicked out and removed? We could use the references from some of the acts that were created that mixed Indians, Turks, Moors, all into the same pool, right? Such as in 1705. And again in 1740, and again in 1870. Not much changed. Free white people could be black as Wesley Snipes. But because of their descent and who they're related to, they free white people.
Don't forget the House of Burgesses. You brought up that 1705. That House of Burgesses switched up the racial classification in 1705 too.
That's right.
Right?
And this is years after Bacon and the so-called Africans that came here ran my Indian grandmother in the swamps. Right? Going back to the diplomacy of it all, because Queen Anne was absolutely a diplomat, as was Pocahontas, the potentate.
Sure was.
Potentate. Should we go back to that word? Should we go to the word potentate?
We sure
can. She was a government figure representing our grandfather's kingdom.
Basically a land proprietor, a lord, a governor, a diplomat, an ambassador. Yeah, all that rolled into one. Only other place I seen that was this Sunday. I ain't one of them, but only other place I seen that word potentate was in the Bible. And we know the Bible ain't nothing but a book of genealogy and laws of the land, right? Coming back to America, it's great to do genealogy on others, but it ain't nothing like being home on your own soil.
Nothing like being home.
Facts.
So let's take a look at this right here. Princess Powhatan, Imperial, Virginia, Matoaka, ALS. When you see this, that means alias. So she's Matoaka to us, but her government name, her given name, right? Her English name, her doing business, her DBA is Rebecca Philia Potentess. Okay? Potentess. Matoaka alias Rebecca, daughter to the mighty Prince Powhatan, emperor of, hold on, you know I can't say that fast, Atanukamuk, okay, alias Virginia. Okay, so before they incorporated as Virginia, Atanukamuk, converted and baptized in the Christian faith and wife of the worthy Mr. John Rolfe. Okay. Potentis. Let's get that word. Let's get that word, potentis. Potentis, potentate. Right? So we could show what it's hitting for. Potentis, potens, potentis, Latin simple online dictionary. Let's go. Potens, potenti. Actually, let me get the powerful, strong, capable, mighty. Hold on, let's go back. Let's go back. Give me 1 second.
Now, Moon, I had a question for you, and it is prompted by I saw Miss Pam also noted when I was doing my rundown of Pocahontas and the Powhatans. I didn't specifically use the term emperor, and we've had conversations about the term emperor.
Yes.
You know, someone being a titular head that basically subdues an ongoing government and establish themselves as the head of state. I usually don't refer to Pocahontas or Wahoo Seneca as an emperor or empress. Some people will push back and be like, well, you do know he like took over the Massawomacs. He fought with them before the English came. I would push back against that because, you know, squabbling Indian tribes, he didn't assume himself over him. So what would you think about that? What's your stance on that?
Well, again, I'm not going to push back on it. We talking about commercial activity and who took charge, who were the self-governing people. That would be him. That would be him. Wahoo Seneca, that would be him. It's a job that we all have to do still to this day. And the people that were having a hard time getting this shit together, well, we know they had a hard time in life, right? We had a hard time generationally by not having the information to perform commercial activity properly. Civic engagement, proper civic engagement. Polity, proper political engagement. It started long time ago, and as all of this slavery and all of this shape shifting and misclassification is happening, guess what they were gathering? Their commercial affairs. So, potent, having or wielding force, authority, or influence, achieving or bringing about a particular result. And did she not bring about a particular result? Yes. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. Also, I think it's important to bring up the fact that, you know, how some of these folks, they have different names. They gave us one title, but they actually have different titles, right? Such as Napoleon. We were taught that he is the emperor of France, right? But they never told us that he was also the king of Italy. And they never talked about him marrying into the Habsburg line.
Facts. So that also made him the king of Austria, Hungary.
That's correct. And had he not been the king, would Austria even came about? Austria came a little late to the party, such as Germany. Some places had to disappear for some places to appear. Prussia disappeared. Germany popped up. They replacing it with different commercial entities. Prussia went away. Germany popped up. The same way in Africa, niggas went to sleep in Zaire and woke up in 3 other countries. Commercial activity took place and split the place in 3. So there's a motherfucker that was born in Zaire. He went to sleep one day and woke up and in 3 different goddamn countries. Which one is he a citizen of? Now we got to fight for citizenry in one of these said 3 places. Mind you, they been the same place for 1,000 years, but now it looked like they done picked it up and moved it all over the map. And they ain't went nowhere. Shout out to Muhammad Ali, because if you didn't fight in Zaire and people didn't name their kids Zaire, would none of these so-called Africans remember that Zaire was a place that is no more. So nationality, it's nice, but where's your ethnicity? What is your heritage? Because heritage does not change. Heritage is constant. Your nationality can change by way of location and where you move to, where you came from and where you're moving to. Your nationality is different. And that's if you can apply for citizenry in said nation. Hey, Ms. Zach, what's up, brother? So again, I'll be asking, what kind of Negro is they talking about? Please don't exclude Europeans from being Negroes, because they are absolutely Negroes. Right? And this isn't to defend my Indian. I don't have to. This is to defend the truth about who these Negroes are that people keep inserting is some, not attached to other people that can be found. Let's say that. Because again, they're going to have to come with the fact that you have a lot of these people. And then I guess in the next episode, we're going to have to start walking down some of these African folks like Nzinga, what's his name? Not Alfred. Was it Nzinga? Alfonso, all of these Congo kings and these other Nzinga queens and shit like that, they are Portuguese. We're going to dive into Ana de Souza. That's Queen Nzinga. We're going to dive into Ana de Souza's genealogy and show how she goes back to the Holy Roman Empire. Mazingo is an Italian name with an Italian crest by way of the Portuguese who fled from Portugal into Italy, into Rome, married into these families. Yes.
If you watch Power, this lady ain't nothing but a modern day Noma from Power Book 2. Real deal.
Yes, and in Power Book 2, did they not call Roma a Guinea Negro? Noma,
Sure
a Guinea
did.
Negro, right?
They sure did.
Didn't Noma marry a Lombardi? Ain't the Lombardis from Italy? Yeah, they know
They
what they.
sure did. They said she a Guinea Negro. I said, oh, shit, it's when they get good. Then they killed her. I was like, man, they petty for that.
And the daughter killed the whole line. Peep
Uh-huh.
that.
So that's how
Killed
they
the whole
do.
genealogical line. And
Yeah, that's
killed
how
the
they
dad
do.
last season.
Because that would have been a nice little spinoff. Like, that could have been a show. But they don't want it.
Absolutely.
They don't want it.
Can y'all popcorn or keep to the subject real quick? I need like 3 minutes so I could go and twist my breakfast. I'll be right back.
We'll fix your
Sure
breakfast.
can. Peace, Nikki. Peace, Miss T. OCL. Just showing love to
Go
the
see your
chat real
Nikki. Hey,
quick.
cousin T. What's up, beauty?
Yeah. Miss Sun Spirit. Kamwe Gapo. Miss Zach. What's going on, bro?
Doc,
Charles.
do you need to share screen at all? Because
Not at the moment, no. I think I think we can kind of popcorn on, this Italian, Portuguese piece and everything, because that was just very interesting to me. Like, whether we talking about, um, the Queen Nzinga, right, of Angola, or whether we talking about, Norma from Power. The first time I ever heard, I'll be honest, of Queen Nzinga was when I was in Africa. When I was in Tanzania. I learned about Queen Nzinga from Geronimo Pratt. Now, you may have heard of Geronimo Pratt from Judge Joe Brown, from his connections with him. Geronimo Pratt was a Panther in exile and also was Tupac's godfather. But he informed me about Queen Nzinga and her army and her interworkings and commerce that she did with the Portuguese. Of course, it was more so situated in a colonialist relationship, right? And not so much the relationship where, she was doing commerce, or where she was intermarrying, right? In these families for supremacy. And I think a lot of times that's the portion that we don't often talk about. And, the antecedents, the future generations that come from that. So that was just always interesting, for me, putting those pieces together about Queen Nzinga and her generations to come later. But now, from this perspective that Moon is talking about, with her presuming and assuming a commercial name, and what that means in terms of placing them in the current historical moment, is just real interesting to me. And it really helps when you know when we're talking about certain folks, or even how certain folks in today's current historical moment, assert racial classifications upon themselves, right? Whether we talking about people in our family, or whether we talking about people that run for president. Do you have anything you wanted to add, Gator?
I'm just trying to find out because that fucking man on that map, man, like when you get to talking about that, it's just the man on the map and all that. They lived through that time, through when them mythical characters, they wasn't mixing with them things. And it still exists today, but man, them people got two eyes now, and I ain't never letting that go. They ruled in them times in Africa, and they was not doing all that extra as mixing, how everybody is just one big nigga today. And Ethiopia went from west to east, and people think that shit is perfectly normal. They think it's perfectly normal for somebody to be saying they live 7 years behind folks. And it's like a lot of stuff they don't even mention within that history over there. Because to me, I would say that if you want to say colonized, civilized, the Italians civilized the areas down there, but they don't even speak on that part of that history. But up here in Minnesota, these look like whole ass Italians walking the fuck around. I got a lot of questions that need answers because
Isn't it interesting that these same people, right, attached to the original Negroes, the Irish, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and as well as the Italians, the Italians in particular, they were also called niggers. They were not considered white, nor didn't they call the Irish niggers too? They sure did. Why?
Yo, Then if y'all ever seen The Godfather, I'm gonna take y'all. I'm gonna take y'all two places. Remember in The Godfather, who was that? Michael Corleone, when he had his fiance in the hotel and he was not condoning it, but when he was beating on her and she called him, she said, "You crazy, Yenny." Man, you would have thought she called his mother the word I ain't gonna say, but he went berserk. But I also remember some of the Kennedys coming back to America, right? I also remember some of the Kennedys saying that in the newspapers that they would say no Irish or dogs welcome here. And that was probably up until like the late 1800s, early 1900s, maybe even like 1920s. So it's wild.
And also, as far as the Jacobites is concerned, after they was restored, what was it? King Charles had to get restored back. He was the one hiding in, where was he hiding, in France or Spain? Or both, right? When he was on the run. They was looking to get restored after the Jacobite rebellion, right? Um, what's interesting is the fact that most of those particular Irish and Scots were sent to the Caribbean first. Yeah. So when you see
Mm-hmm.
Jamaicans in particular, as well as Barbados, those names, Egbert, those other type of British names, they are directly descendants from those people of Ireland. Direct descendants and prisoners from the Jacobite rebellion. They're gonna talk about that. Maroon hole, because now when we're talking about the Maroons, it has to be clear that the Maroons are separate from the people on the islands. They're separate, same as the ones in Panama with the first Maroon uprising, right, in the 1500s. Those Maroons wound up getting treaties with the original people that dropped their asses off. Same thing with the burgers, right? The South Africans, they are burgers. They were free burgers, right? If you look in the South African records prior to apartheid, the people that were there are the burgers. Those burgers are Elon Musk people, and these got to be your European Negroes that was cast out. Yeah. Give me 1 second.
I'm gonna just go to the chat real quick. While we wait for Moan to come back, I'm just reading some of y'all chat and chats and everything. As we say around here, um, Nikki Sunflower always says chat lives matter. So we're gonna go to the chats. See Danny talking about Kamala Daddy ain't none of them. If you have been following the genealogical trek of Candace Owens, I think we all can kind of pick up what Danny's putting down regarding that.
Danny, come up. I'll put the link in the chat. What's up, y'all beautiful ones? I'm back. I sent the
Mm-hmm.
link in the chat.
Yep. I see Lloyd says that the Sicilian scene from the movie True Romance. Haven't seen True Romance. I'm gonna have
That
to.
is one of my favorite movies. Mr. Cardi,
Wow.
thank you for bringing that up. Oh my goodness. So you have Rosanna Arquette, Christian Slater, and in that scene that Lloyd is talking about, True Romance is an excellent movie. It's from like 1985, 86. I remember when the first days of HBO and Cinemax came out. And we had WHT back then. True Romance was an excellent goddamn movie. And you will see in that movie all the modern actors today and how young they were before. Sam Jackson's in that movie. James Gandolfini from The Sopranos. You see them before they got famous. Gary Oldman is the villain in the movie. He's Alabama's pimp. But that scene that Lloyd is talking about, Christopher Walken was also the goon in that movie. And Christopher Walken had an encounter with Dennis Hopper, who played Christian Slater's father. And they went to kill Christian Slater's father. And Dennis Hopper called Christian Walken, what do you call him, a guinea or a Moor or a Negro, something like that. I don't remember, but all hell broke loose. And that was probably his last motherfucking words. But you got to see Kiefer Sutherland's face, not Kiefer Sutherland, Christopher Walken's face when he's being called a guinea. Ooh, it went hit the fan. Go see the movie just for old nostalgic purposes. But that was one of my favorite movies. Hey, Beauty, good morning.
I'm gonna figure out how to put my avatar up. Hoodoo.
Peace, Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Hey, beautiful ones. This beautiful Sunday. It is always a wonderful day in Indian country.
Yes, indeed. Happy American Indian Heritage Month.
Happy American Indian Heritage Month. I see Phoenix kicking it off with a bang. Yeah, that's how we get started.
Well, it was kind of too much to text. And we had what's the brother? New Negro Republic. He made a comment and he brought up I'm gonna just say DC Comics. He brought up DC Comics name and said that can't be y'all a father or master teacher or some shit like that. I don't know, but they like to use the information without a lot of meat and potatoes in it. They get served a plate, but it don't got the meat and potatoes. It kind of just got the surface shit on there. You know what I'm saying? You could smell the aroma, but you don't actually get the plate with the hardiness on it. You understand what I'm saying? And they like to take that and place it on the whole Indian build, which is such a fucking discredit to genealogy. You can't mix what somebody says as they refer to the American Indians, being falsely misclassified and whatnot. Misclassification is an actual crime. There's an actual word for it, right? And they purposely misclassified us. See, when they get to talking, instead of asking questions, they get to talking very matter-of-factly. And I don't know where they get their information from, and a lot of them just Google. But if they can use their own family tree, they may be able to, better articulate what it is that they're trying to say. But I don't think they do a good job of that, particularly because they can't even make clear what kind of Negro they are. Before they get to talking about Negroes, got to know what kind of Negro you are.
See they Negroes and call them colonizers and all types of shit because they see them in Europe. Just be so disrespectful to their ancestors.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. They can never really elaborate, and they think that there's only one kind of Negro. No, there's several types. There's an American Negro that's exclusive to America. There are the other Negroes that derive from descent of Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese. They don't make any distinction. So not only do they derive from the Spanish, Italian, and Portuguese, they may be by way of another landmass, right? So there's got to be Chinese Negroes. There's going to be some goddamn Russian Negroes. They got Chinese Creole. They got Russian Creoles, right? And if they have those, then they got Negroes too. And they definitely got Russian Negroes, because Siberia got Iberia in it. All the way to Siberia.
I seen them. I seen them people that Vladimir Putin showed in the church. Y'all know what I'm talking about. He know his history. I knew Vladimir Putin was a genius and knew his genealogy when he had that interview with Tucker Carlson, and he asked him about the Ukraine war, and he was like, yeah, we could talk about that, but let me take you back to 1200 in Russia. I was like, dang.
Right. And let's talk about how the further away Russia ends up being away from the European Union. See, Russia is really Asians, right? And I think they have a complex about being included in the European games, the European name games.
Right.
Even though they descend from the same folks.
And you hit the nail right on the head, Moon. That was, I don't think I was clear with it earlier about them being in like United Nations, and and yeah, that was never something that they really wanted to do. You know what I mean? So like they always had the political intercedings with China and India, and the cultural and ideological, and now with BRICS, now they got the economic. So it's all come full circle for them.
That young man Putin said, "Hey, Negroes, I got a surprise for you. Happy Easter. Come look at the church." I love that man.
Yup,
Now,
that's exactly what I was talking about. Them dark-skinned folks that he showed. Yup.
now those same pictures of those icons, because they're called icons, that he showed, didn't you see pictures back in the days and even recently? The Pope kneeling down before Black Madonna with a black baby Jesus. Did y'all not see that?
Yes, that's the Byzantium church.
Right.
That's after the Great Schism happened with the quote unquote Roman Catholic Church, which we know became, one half became the Holy Roman Empire, and then the other half, which was in Constantinople, that became the Byzantium Empire. We know Constantinople ain't nothing but the other country that they won't let in the EU. That's Turkey that we was talking about.
Turkey. And that goes back to the Anatolia and the Greeks, right? And the Levant, okay? And
yes,
make it more interesting, these are your mixed Greeks, right? That's what Egyptians are. So Ethiops are burnt face mixed people. So if they're mixed with the burnt face, they're mixed with the original blacks that come from Europe. Ooh, who they mixed with? And they mixed with the folks in the Middle East, the Proto-Indo-European, the Aryan, the Caucasian, the now European. Those are the admixtures. That's what an Ethiop is, an admixture of those people. The burnt faces go back to the black people that they had to make blacken. They had to blacken. These are the people that flash, wax pale. Who is pale? The blacks are pale. They gonna stop lying or what? Like everybody, let's just be honest. I think they being real lazy with the scholarship on Africa. They got 1,001 details and they got answer for everything except who is One-Eyed Jack on the map. Never been able to get a respectable map of a Cuba line. And I just gave them the Kemet map. So they Kemet shit is dead. Because you can't discount Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, and all of them back into your Cleopatra reign. You can't exclude them. She was back and forth. You cannot exclude the Carthaginian Hannibal Barca going at it with your boy Africanus Scipio, the Roman.
Right.
They can't say that the Bible's not a true story. It just might not be your story. It came from somewhere else. So if the slaves came with God, their God told them, I will be with you wherever you go. And they really thought that they could bring the Christianity and all of its flaws and defects and splendor here, and everybody was going to get down with the get down. And if you don't, we bring in black and white in between and make everybody fight each other over colors and forget about the bloodline. Grand Elevations, OCO, Quiet Riot. What's up, baby?
Como and Gapo, y'all.
Hey.
Don't see her quiet.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, where'd you go? Hold on, let me get you back in. Where'd you go? We can hear you. You went away.
Feel like you dropped them off.
You
You can
gotta
try
connect
coming
your
back
mic
up.
and your camera. Go out and come back up, baby. You got to go out and come back up. I dropped the link again.
I was just gonna say that we kind of dispelled their timeline too, right? With in some aspects, how they say BC or AD. Now we know AD to personify the era that started with Augustus, right? After Julius Caesar, who back then the Roman Empire called the son of the emperor, the son of God, right? Because they looked
Absolutely.
at Caesar as, a larger than life, godlike figure. And then we also know that they also supersede that with CE, the Common Era. But oftentimes when playing these time and space games, we have to ask ourselves, well, what era does that fit in with the Indian? Because if we looking at Paul Monkey, history, or if we looking at Lenape history, that might be year 11,000 for us. That might be year 8,000 for us.
Absolutely. Welcome back, Quiet. And we got multi-generational mulatto. What's up, baby? How y'all beautiful ones doing? Hope y'all having a good
Peace,
day
fam.
today. Thanks for
Yo,
pulling
what's
up.
up?
Como and Gapo, welcome to the stage.
Go ahead,
Thanks for
Quiet.
having us up.
Oh, go ahead, baby. Go ahead.
I apologize. I was just saying good morning and thanks for having us up.
Oh, you are very welcome and welcome. Thanks for pulling up with us. This is an open forum. We're just shooting the shit. It was a conversation that I was looking to have with New Negro, but it's quite a lot of bit to type. And it's so much more personable when you can actually converse with each other. And then we both could share our sources and expound on things without the texting thing, because sometimes that get construed. And not for nothing, I've been doing this a long time. I come up in the battle ever. So it always going to sound like I'm on my New York aggression and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's much more personable to have the conversation here. So that's it. That's why we here. That's where it started at about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock this morning and stuff like that. And I figured it would be easy. I had a little errand and stuff to run. And I said, when I come back, we can do a space and have a conversation, but he never showed up. But it's okay. It's okay. He's a good brother, very, very intelligent man. And I dig a lot of his talking points. But there seems to be this disconnect. And also I need to highlight the vitriol that people have for those of us that claim our American Indian ancestry and stand on it. I'm not really sure why people are so hell-bent on erasing us, as they sit on top of these apps and they're calling Donald Trump every kind of racist. They are absolutely the biggest racists, if that's what they want to say, but they're anti-racist. And I'm going to say why they're anti-racist. Because race means your family, your tribe, your cousins, your aunts, uncles, your parents. That's your race. The people, the gimme that got you here and the produce from that. That's your race. So when other people are sticking together with their own kind, lifting each other up as a people, I am fucking for racism 100%. What I don't like is the bias. What's not important, what's not right is the discrimination. What's not right is the prejudice. Niggas is straight up prejudice, and they're prejudice to the Indian in their own country. So as they sit there screaming about the white man, they might consider themselves the white man too, because they think they're gonna bully the Indian out her shit, his shit in their house. It's crazy. And y'all tell me if I'm wrong. They got a problem with white folk, problem with mixed folk. They got a problem with everybody except whoever fucking don't play with crayons. Whoever plays with crayons, they cool with that. Flat blackness. Flat blackness. Well, as an Indian that's been misclassified, I got a claim to that too. They called us black. They called us everything but Indian. And I see that a lot of these folks got a problem with us calling ourselves what we always were, and they would never allow us to be, and they want us to assimilate to who we are not. And then not only assimilate to the who we are not, the people who we're not don't even know who the fuck they are either. That's crazy. Crazy. Go ahead, quiet. I'm gonna mute my mic.
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Yes,
Hello?
we can.
Oh, okay. I got to get used to this platform. Yeah, it's wild that it's wild that people, you know, they so much so everything that they calling out on everybody else, they're doing that exact same thing. You know, they talk about being racist and being this and being that, and that's exactly what they're doing. So much so that they don't see it themselves. But as long as you're quote unquote black, then it's cool. You know, you can call everybody else all kind of names. You can do whatever you want to everybody else, but they can't do it to you. If they do it to you, then it's, you know, oh, you're this, you're that, you're this, you're that. It's like, man, get out of there with that.
Yo, Lawrence Supreme, you please come up here. You talking my language. You hear this shit? You hear what he's saying? Lawrence
I
Supreme said
absolutely see
racism
it.
is misconstrued for nationalism.
Yep.
Fact, check, right? Then he
Check,
also
check.
says if you in a race, you're supposed to try and win. Check.
Facts.
And the last I checked, the so-called Black American wins in every motherfucking thing. Sports, whatever it is, we win, right? Even with all this chip stacked against us, we're winners. So as family, right? Because really this genealogy, and I brought it public, and the people that I work with, we brought this public so that we can find our family. And it's been 10 years, and I can say it's about 20 of them in the chat right now. How many of us on stage is related by one ancestor or 20? That's what we see. Ain't no new Indians, ain't no new Americans, ain't no new people. Either you related to the old ones or you ain't. Period. So let me just make it clear. So even all the people that have the mulatto, the Negro, the colored, the black, you have these misclassifications. Some of you got white too. You got these misclassifications. That is the criminal activity. Never mind if you Indian, never mind if you African. Let's talk about the law, what the U.S. did. And as they did this misconstruing and misclassifying your ass, nigga, you was improperly represented, and you was taxed without the proper representation. But they used our bodies, even the slaves, as 3/5 a person. Their vote counted. Free people of color could not fucking vote. The slaves' vote counted, because the slave was generally going to vote on behalf of what the master, the politics that would have suited them and gave them protections, not the other fucking way around. They wouldn't have used the slave vote if their slave was going to be concerned about using their vote to free themselves. That ain't what happened. So 3/5 of a person, meaning two slaves got a whole motherfucking vote that a free motherfucker couldn't have. The Indian did not have. So who was these people making these Jim Crow laws? It wasn't white folks, white-skinned folks, pale-skinned folks by their motherfucking self. What are we talking about? Who's the killer? Who is the real killer? This is why it makes sense for everybody to know who they are. Some of these niggas right now in our face that's black as Wesley Snipes got a grandpappy that look just like the nigga they hate, the white man they hate. Eh? Or a grandmother that look like Eleanor Roosevelt. Y'all better stop fucking playing. Y'all don't know what's in these records. You can tell they don't know by the way that they speak. So even if you didn't find an Indian, we can find a crime. And the crime is these motherfuckers changed your grandparents from one decennial census to the next. Huh? Let's start with that. Slavery is weak because white folks were slaves too. Let's go with a law that they wrote down that we could prove they broke without no effort. It takes no effort for every last one of us in this conversation that got anything to do with looking at any parts of their genealogy. If you see neighbors, I don't care if you only got two census. From 1870 and 1880, they called them mulatto in 1870. They called you black in 1880. Bitch, you got a claim. What did you do? What did they do? They made sure you didn't have representation, but they sure as fuck taxed you. That ain't hard to prove. Why can't we go with the shit that's easy to prove? Everybody want to come into this with all their emotions. No, passion is good, but your emotional shit is still keeping you stuck. We don't need to be battling none of these motherfuckers on the internet that can't name their third great grandparents. What are we doing? We still got to fight these same politicians that got the cousins, they the grandkids and the great-great-grandkids, just like we descendants of the Indians. These motherfucking congressmen, black and white, men and women, these motherfuckers is related to the same motherfuckers that's been stealing our identity perpetually. What are we talking about? Congress sanctioned the Order of the Red Men. Congress sanctioned the Sons of Liberty. Motherfuckers throwing tea in the Boston Tea Party, throwing motherfucking tea in the goddamn ocean, dressed up like black motherfuckers. What we talking about here?
Phoenix, my favorite is when they tell you that, you know, some of these wonderful figures in their ancestry, like Ben Franklin and the likes, are only their granddaddy because of grape, and still don't get that that's still their granddaddy. Doesn't matter how he became your pops. Pops is still pops.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a fact.
That's a great point.
That's a fact. You have to live and accept with it, because even when they try to run with them narratives and even use the whole white man talking point, they still have to understand that the white man is still sometimes dark as Wesley Snipes. So you can go back and look at the census. You can see the picture of your granddaddy black as fuck, but he's categorized as a white man. It's kind of like they help feed the illusion just for the day to come when you do your genealogy. People got to watch what they say, because it's still going to be your fucking granddaddy. That can still be a true story for some people.
The colonizers, yo, and they are more colonizer related than they are motherfucking Indian. Right?
And then be mad when Indians be running from them sometimes.
These niggas be dead ass. It ain't no nigga. I ain't thought they tried to shame me fucking 8 years ago when I talked about King James being in my fucking family tree a few times. First of all, that is one motherfucker in between me and 1,500,000 people. He's still to give me that got me here. This how I was able to look at these Hebrews and be like, yo, y'all niggas, y'all close but not really right. Y'all close but not really right. Not realize you had to move around certain conversations. You couldn't have the Egypt is in America conversation with these niggas. These niggas wasn't versed enough on grandma and grandpa to sit there and want to go ancient. You want to go ancient? Niggas, make yourself ancient. You still got to put yourself in that narrative, nigga. What we talking about? What are we talking about? In the instance of misclassification, you got the pictures that they showing, and them pictures don't reflect what's actually in the records. Lewis and Clark, a lot of these motherfuckers are black, and they were slaves. The first slaves.
I wonder, when did these dark people become black? Because they be showing up on the census, because on the 1950 census, a lot of them are white. When did they get black? I want to say
My
They
19.
got
Irish
black
grandma
after
became
a lot of
black.
times.
My
A lot of
Irish
times,
grandma came black with my granddaddy. So, in case y'all was wondering.
I would say it's going to start to change on that 1970 census. I wouldn't even give it to the 1960 one.
listen, they was blacking and whiting people after Bacon's Rebellion. After our families came out the motherfucking swamps back to their shit and got back to business, because it was business. And we're going to talk about how some of these Virginia slaves are mostly Indians. Listen, and when they talking about these few Africans, we're going to do the math. Let's get the calculator. Let's get the calculator. First of all, we're going to talk about the less than 388,000 people that came here. Okay, hold on, just so it can make sense to people. Let me pull it up. Is it gonna let me? Maybe I could share my screen. Hold on. Let's see. Boom. Here we go. Let me pull up slave narratives. Hold on. Let me go get slave voyages up. Hold on. Because this is the math they got to work with, and they're going to have to make it make sense. And the beautiful thing about all of this shit, ladies and gentlemen, with history and all of this wonderful shit that they wrote, that they told the truth about and they lied about at the same damn time, can't nobody undo their story. Whatever they said, you right, because we seen on Chief Show where the goddamn Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma said they came out of hole. Not only did they come out of hole, they came out in a crazy ass order too, according to the historian. Choctaw and Chickasaw, Shata and Shikasa were brothers, twins, like Jacob and Esau, twins, family dispute, and they split up. Okay? So somehow the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma says that Shata came out the hole, Choctaw, not Shata, Choctaw came out the hole. Then came the Cherokee. Then the Chickasaw came out the hole. Then I don't know what order the Seminoles and the Cherokee, the other ones came out. I don't remember, but that shit fucked me up. I kind of left my body as he's saying this, right? So you gotta forgive me with the way that they confuse their story, but they can't undo it. They can't undo it. And when they went to go federally register, because they had to go register. So when you register something, you're changing over your title, right, to a higher power. So I don't know how these bitches is sovereign, right? I don't know how they're sovereign. You register, you're transferring title ownership to a different authority. And those ain't my words. That's the legal definition. So when they got federally registered to get federally recognized in the 1970s, I don't remember who was last. I think the Cherokees was last. And somehow we're going to have to figure out how the Mississippi Choctaw got recognized before the ones in Oklahoma. Straighten it. And if everybody is who they say they is, then they should have no problem proving that they was American Indian before they became Native American. Because as Hands right now, I'm older than a motherfucking Cherokee. I was born in 74. I'm older than a motherfucking Cherokee that they talking about on paper. But can they relate to the old motherfuckers, the Cherokees by blood?
I don't think so.
Well, with everything that people have been able to accumulate as far as documentation with their genealogy is concerned, you've got a good portion of shit that these federally recognized folks don't motherfucking have. Right? And Brother Jamar had already exposed how the Alaska natives, them niggas ain't responsible for no type of documentation because they wouldn't have no way of proving that they was so-called 1/4 blood, 1/4 blood, or 1/8 blood, or whatever, when they was doing their little blood degree bullshit. Now none of them qualify, so they got the Alaska natives. And that's technically who the Native Americans are. So now you could see that these people that signed up as American Indians are now subscribing and signing over to being a Native and subscribing to being a Native American, which is a new motherfucker. The African American is not new, but the swap is, because the African American was the free white people. In the 1700s, the African American was free.
I always tell people that Elon Musk is your best African American, y'all.
Listen.
Yeah.
Fire in the hole.
Let me get this slave voyages up so they could have this math real quick.
They heartbroke. Elon Musk and got billions in American civil rights legislated grants to build all his stuff. What I mean, he's an African American. You guys approved to give that over to him. No. That's what them African American bonds went. We just didn't know who the African American was. Yeah. That's Obama and Elon. Both beautiful African American people.
You absolutely right. Because his mama's Italian. She African. The OG. You 100% correct. Did Brother Mulatto have something else he wanted to say? This is an open forum, y'all. Y'all can pull up if y'all want. This safe Sundays, right? We can agree to disagree or agree and party together, right? But at the end of the day, it's a fair forum. We could come up and shoot your shit. Just be respectful. All right, we'll go get this math now. Now, what I'm going to do, and then, hey, let me ask y'all, before I go any further, y'all on the panel, have any of these people tied themselves to any of these ships? These so-called African slaves, these less than 300,000 people, 400,000 people that came here?
You whooped my ass 5 years ago on four and a half, almost 5 years ago. It'd be five coming first quarter. It'd be 5 years ago. I met you on the clubhouse where you told me a new one when I thought I had an African from the boat, and I had to do a little bit more digging to realize I was wrong. Yeah, they ain't did no looking. Yeah, they ain't did no looking, and if they did, they ain't did no finding. The only ones who was bold enough to come back and say they did a little finding of the original, folks who love to scream and holler called ADOS. Yeah, there's a few Europeans. They done found some Indian, lots of European. Even some of them even got some Asians off in there. Even a couple of them found some Australians. Yeah. Um, they ain't found no Africans. I've yet to see some come back with these is my boats. I ain't seen no boat yet. Not a one boat. I'm sorry, Phoenix. Not a one boat.
That's crazy. I'm just the information been here for a long time. Even since this had the yellow background, right? When they first debuted this, and shout out to Emory University. But again, and we keep finding ourselves going back to this tool for the people that may just be coming into the information, but they have where these ships of document come from, right? And I just sorted it specifically so you can see the flag vessel, and then I'm also going to change the column so you see, like, so this way you know what country they coming from, and I want to show who got on a boat and who they dropped off, where they dropped off at, right? So you have who got on the boat, they embarked on a ship to get sold, transported, wherever, right? To places known, not places fucking unknown, even places where they were shipwrecked to because they ain't make it to the place they was going. But for the people to stop, not telling the truth about what really happened. And I don't know who's saying that the transatlantic slave trade didn't happen, because it absolutely did, but it was not the way that it was expressed. And that needs to be made clear, especially in terms of what we now call the United States, as previously the 13 colonies. And even when we're talking about the Spanish portion of the United States, right, and the French portions of North, South, and Central America, we could still make distinctions as to who the people are. The people don't change, even when they change their names, the bloodlines. You could follow the bloodlines like you follow the money in politics and civics and polity. It's the same thing, chasing grandma and grandpa. So I don't know why people make this such an issue, as if knowing isn't better off than not knowing, and making up all these bullshit ass stories and speaking all these horrible things that may or may not have happened in your family. A lot of these people that's saying they was the slaves by default because their skin is dark, they was the slave masters. And we know who people is here. And as a genealogist, we gonna find whoever's there in the world. Like, everybody got a grandma and grandpa, B. The Mormons baptize everybody, whether you know it or not. I don't care what religion. The only people they don't mess with when they dead is the goddamn small hats. The people with small hats and Shirley Temple curls on the sideburns. They don't mess with them. But everybody gets baptized from the Mormons, who have the records of everybody in the whole world, Craig. The whole world. That's probably another conversation, but if you didn't know, now you know. So slave voyages, this is the default. Look, I didn't change. I'm not going to change that. 1514 to 1866. 36,247 entries. So these so-called African scholars and these so-called historians are not using this tool. They just telling stories that they was told. They just regurgitating stories. Go and look at their sources. I don't care what books you read, who your master teacher was, what sources, where the sources came. These things been talking a lot of shit for the last 70 years and they ain't show one source yet. Point being the Civil Rights Act. Everybody knew about the Civil Rights Movement. They knew about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Jesse Jackson and Andrew Young, but they did not say that the law that was passed as a result of what they was doing, the boycotts, was about Indians. And it was at that point we were supposed to tribe up, prior to these other motherfuckers stealing our goddamn ancestors and going and getting our shit. Y'all gotta be kidding me. The Civil Rights Act is rights of Indians. The United States used single subject matter with respect to a couple of a few different jurisdictions. Single subject matter, meaning if you pass a law to save the manatees, That law gets passed and scripted based off of everything regarding what you are saying in regards to saving the manatees. You don't get to me. That don't mean the buffalo and the goddamn other amphibians. All right. It don't mean them. You just said manatees. The law is passed for the manatees. Now, when was these people leaving reservations and going and rioting? When did you do? Show me them pictures of them getting hosed down with water hoses and dogs sick on them. I want to see them where they was running around with big old Chief Sitting Bull, Crying Eyes Cody, right? Crying Eyes Cody, big old headdress on, stealing fucking setting shit on fire in Watts. You got to show me. You got to show me where they was at. AIM was formed after the civil rights, and all of these folks was lining up niggas, right? Because they was housing a lot of these people, especially the people that infiltrated the Black Panthers, which people keep saying started in Chicago, but no, it was North Carolina. Political organization from North Carolina. Right? And let's talk about how they was hiding these people on these Lakota reservations and all of that. They got a lot of shade and scandal. They just getting there. How long they been there? Why can't they detail themselves and all this action and survival shit we had to go through all these motherfucking years? And I'm not discounting what they modern history is, but where they at in the ancient. So there ain't no respect for the ancient American. There ain't no respect for the ancient African either, as far as I'm concerned, because they're not even talking about their European roots. Now, we done show who the original Africans is. And who these people that they saying came here. You think of the Huguenots and you automatically think France, but the Huguenots came from London. Some of these people don't confuse ethnicity for nationality.
I read that they was just like a political party thing though too. Like it was political.
They're not using their noodle, man. They're using their emotions, and they saying a lot of bullshit with their chest. Right?
A lot. And you can't take nothing on this internet serious, because how can a political thing turn into a religion? And you like, yo, is you batshit crazy?
Yeah.
Run fast. Grab your paperwork and just run.
And Phoenix, let's not skip over that part in the document that's highlighted called IMP. I want to point that out to the good people who love to use slave voyages wrongly. IMP is where they started implying shit. Where you see it next to a record,
Correct.
they had some of the information and they just implied the rest. They didn't necessarily know. So when you actually get rid of the implies and do the real numbers, it's worse than this. Phoenix is so small, such a small number.
I'm going to make it clear this is the transatlantic database, right? Now, this also on the same website, you could see the Trans-Pacific slave trade as well, right? Because that's maybe not what they calling it, but so some of these are your 1492 so-called small hats, right? That was kicked out of Europe. Your Berbers, of course, they Berbers because you had the Barbary Wars, and this is still following the Ottoman shit that they had going on in the 1400s. Henceforth, the reason why they had to travel because they couldn't just walk their asses into India and China no more, Bharat, Hindustan and China no more, because the Turks got them blocked off. Or they having a family squabble. And the whole world end up suffering with this family fucking squabble from these fucking foreigners. So let's get to the math. And disembarked. Okay. All right. Now, this is the percentage of Africans that came to North America in the whole time, right? The regions of this is disembark means these is people that got off the boat. This is the timeline. Mainland North America. Spanish mainland Americas have different numbers, right? Where they coming from? Brazil, Africa. Let's get the average number of embarked slaves. Let's do that before we go look at the actual numbers. Europe. Slaves that got off in Europe. Right? Let's do where the voyage began. No African voyages over here till 1576 to 1600s. This is where their voyage began. That's kind of crazy. Brazil got a lot of activity. Where'd they send the Brazilians to? They sent the Brazilians to go create Angola. What we talking about? You know why Brazil got so much activity? Because they took the Indians from Brazil to go and create Angola. That's why Angolans speak Portuguese. Remember, King John of Portugal moved the throne to Brazil, South America. They moved the throne, the Portuguese throne. So with that came some people that would be called what? Africans?
They're not ready for that type of truth bomb, Phoenix.
Peace and love to everybody that's pulling up, chilling with us on this good Sunday morning. I hope everybody's well. I hope this video finds you in good and sound peace of mind and all of that. Love, peace, and bed grease. You know what I'm talking about? Anybody's welcome. I've been dropping a link. If you want to come up and say anything, please come through. It's all good.
I'm still waiting on them folks who found them boats.
Damn.
Still waiting on them.
Look at this math. I'm not. It's not a lot you could do with that.
That math ain't math in the millions. You can't make it millions, Phoenix. I don't see a million,
Where'd the
let alone two.
388,000 go? So that means they are still perfecting it. That's crazy. I'm sure I have screenshots. It's pretty crazy. So that number has decreased.
Oh, yes, Phoenix. I must remind you that some of the people in the Acronese community, uh, the Acronese said that the Indians, the Internet Indians, called up Tamar University to slavevoyagers.org and told them to lower them numbers. Yeah,
Gotta be
it
kidding
was
me.
y'all fault. Yeah, that's what they said. It was that all y'all Internet Indians fault.
Hey, Sharice, it was actually like 2013, 2014 when it used to have Emory University. It wasn't called Slave Voyages at the time. Even though the link was slavevoyagers.org, it was Emory University edu. So now, with respect to now we know who these Africans are. Now that we know who these Africans are, how many people are really related to these Africans that actually did come through here on the transatlantic slave trade? There's not a lot of numbers to work with here. Not a lot of numbers to work with. And I know if they was interested in really knowing about slavery here, they would certainly at least get to Oceans of Kinfolk or see how many Indians was taken out of here. And these are part of the population of the people that came to the United States, mainland. And these are also your Manila Galleons, right? So people that were double, triple, quadruple enslaved. Not only was they kicked out of Europe, but when they got here to Spanish America, they was maroons, right? Some of them got left off. And we could talk about the maroons if people want to keep it real. The maroons was Europeans. They was also the Creoles, right? Back to Queen Nzinga and the Mazinga family. They are all bled out a couple generations as per what they were supposed to do. That was their agreement. They would be classified and labeled as white as long as they whitened up. You couldn't get here and start marrying the other Romani gypsy Negroes and stuff. Yeah, everybody know about them Moorish harems. What do you think happened with all them children? There's a population of Moorish children, right, from when they were actually in Europe, because they are in the bloodline of Queen Isabella. They are in the bloodline of Queen Elizabeth. They are in the bloodline of King Ferdinand. They are in the bloodline of King James, Napoleon, they kids, they descendants. These is the same folks. I don't care what their nationality change. Follow the bloodlines.
Now, Phoenix, you know they're only in those bloodlines because their ancestors were slaves and them men were slave masters and they overtook them. That is what they said. I don't know why you keep making it their granddaddy because that is a rapist and therefore not their granddaddy.
That's exactly where it's supposed to be at, right there. Federal court hearing for these so-called federally recognized tribes. They can prove who they are via primary source. I ain't calling nobody nothing. But what I am saying is prove it. Prove it. Got to be related to the old folks. I don't want to hear that blood quantum shit. Now they just get rid of the blood quantum, gave niggas a couple of dollars, and now you got 25,000 people added to your voting party, right? 25 new constituents by way of being called the freedmen, when the freedman is the Indian and these niggas is the foreigners.
Venus, I also do want the people who somehow know you got Indian in your family, but you're still black like me, and that somehow made you African, even though you know you got Indian in your family. I want you to think about that circular thought right there. Wrap your head around it. Let it rotate. With everything Phoenix just
I mean, the
said.
truth is, not everybody heard they had Indian in their family. They made it such a joke for people of color. They made it such a joke based on if a motherfucker had permanent hair or they had curly hair or different type of hair texture. Never mind, but they completely ignored grandma, grandpa, Uncle Willie, Aunt Phyllis that said we Cherokee Indian, we Blackfoot, that we this, we that. They told you who you was, and somehow when Black Power came and all these other people, again, going back to who was hiding on some of these reservations, the people that was able to strategize so that they can steal. You want to take it back? How did you get civil rights in 1968, April 11th, 1968? And then next thing you know, black folks ain't had no rights. Nigga, they black folks never did have rights. Who are black folks? These white people, nigga? They the original blacks. They the original whites. They the original Africans. Shout out to Scipio. Afrikaners. Relative to the Afrikaners. The people in Africa that speak African. By way of the Dutch.
Hey, Venus, how long was the Dutch meddling with them folks over there on that other continent? Because far back as their story go, them knuckles was hand locked step with the Dutch, as far as I could saw.
Them folks been there since the Medici family, going back to the Habsburgs. The fall, rise, and decline, Holy Roman Empire. What they do with their castaways? If Queen Nzinga goes back to the Mazinga Italian Portuguese throne, she's the queen somewhere, some people in Africa. Walk down them names. Walk down them people. The Igbo are from somewhere else. They settled in Nigeria. Nigeria didn't exist 100 years ago. There was no Nigeria. And who are they naming that? Where did Niger come from? From who? You got Negritos in Philippines, right? And at the point, you could walk from Asia to goddamn Africa. You could walk from there. You got the Chinese, the Mongolian, Japanese, or the Indians, the Proto-Indo-Germanic peoples. Well, where did Germanic people come from? How is the languages, some of the languages, Proto-Germanic and Germany didn't exist until the 1900s. Prussia had to die so Germany could rise. What are we talking about? Where did the bloodline go? Fuck how many times they changed their nationality. Who are these people? They the same sandwich. Oh, see your cousin V.
Y'all can hear me now?
Yes, boy, we here. We can hear you.
Okay, I like what Bez Media
There
said.
she go, loud and clear, Gator. I hear you.
Yeah, we hear you, Gator. So I'm gonna take these numbers right here. All right, so this is for all 365 years in slavery in what we call the United States, 13 colonies, whatever, right? And divide that by 350 years. 1,000 people each year, 1,042, and what that's probably a pregnant. What would that number account for person-wise? Pregnancy, right? Someone that didn't quite make it yet. Okay, so 1,042 people, and then they're getting split between 13 colonies. 80 people a year to split between 13 colonies for 350 years. Is that what we're talking about? That's where all this darkness came from? 80 people a year? 80 so-called Africans. Is this thing on? Y'all can hear me? Did I do that right? Did I do that right?
And literally, the numbers, the math don't never math with them people. I'm still waiting on the millions, and we are nowhere near them numbers.
I yelled the mic. Y'all can popcorn. You gotta make it make sense. And it doesn't require anybody to deny their German ancestor, their so-called Italian ancestor, their African, so-called African. Don't discount none of what you see until you get to the bottom of it. Till you get to the bottom of it. And it takes years and years and years. It's not something that, happened overnight. So it's best you and your family do it together, starting with you and then with the oldest person in your family. It'd be wise to get their memories of where their grandma went to school at, where they went to school at. If you got somebody old enough that actually hugged somebody that was alive from the 1800s, that's probably who you need to go to, and they still got their sound mind. Don't beat them with the Indian stick. Just probe them and ask them little stuff. They're going to tell you about food. They're going to tell you about culture, tradition. Ask them, did they celebrate Christmas? Do they know their grandparents? What do they know? And yeah, where did they live? And what was their town called? And yeah, what was they wearing? What did they dress? You could tie the culture back. And don't look for all this technical shit. You get walking past the simple things. Like it could tell you exactly who the fishing. I'm going to just say fish and grits, shrimp and grits. In antiquity, the Indians ate that. That ain't no slave food. They call it slave food. All the soul food is what all these motherfuckers use to sustain themselves. Slave, master, Indians, everybody that was here was eating fish and grits. Because what else was you eating? You didn't bring nothing here. You came with nothing. That's why I really don't like the word indigenous too much, because it's like you came with nothing. I ain't come with nothing. I was here with shit. That turkey, that Thanksgiving, we've been doing that. I don't celebrate Thanksgiving because of the Indian massacre. That was one people. That wasn't all of us. They got to stop with the blanket stories and find out what your story is. You can't stand under all of these umbrellas you think you can, speaking from an emotional standpoint of flat blackness. Because they called people that look like Donald Trump black. So historically, let's wake it up. Careful what you say. What you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Careful with your intentions. Black power is white supremacy, baby. They was the original blacks. You want to keep it 1,000? That spell casting shit, they playing that spell casting a spell with it. Mm-hmm. The white. I use that to say the white man. I always say Dwight, and I spell it Dwight, like a right turn, Wight, because Dwight and man, MANN, mankind, kind of man. Dwight means full of guilt and blame, not exclusive to skin color. White, WIGHT, means full of guilt and blame. The white man and the black man, the same folks. What kind of black is you? What kind of white is you? What kind of Negro? Kind of Negro. That's going to be important come days when it's going to be important. And when they put the microphone in your face, don't let your emotions do the talking. Let grandma and grandpa do the walking. Walk it back. Walk your history back. That's something nobody ever had to do. They didn't have to go back far. Anybody that got paid any so-called reparations, any restitution, they didn't have to go back too far. But we have the opportunity to go back. Pre-colonial, before the United States existed here. They was talking about our grandparents. I don't know about all these other slave stuff. They in different files and folders and categories of and collages of documentation. The racism needs to start, not stop. Don't be mad at nobody that's racist because they about their own family, their own kind. Be mad at the motherfucker that won't take care of their own, don't know their own, won't take care of their own kind, step all over their own kind, and use the white man to do it. Hey, here we go. Anybody ask me popcorn? I'm gonna close my mic a second. Where cousin V go?
Where Gator and Vita?
Okay, there go Gator. Where cousin DeVita?
He had kicked us. said the racism needs to start. I agree with that. Because they think Indians is too nice. To take all my shit back. This is mine. It's mine. You can't have it. You got to negotiate it. You're getting this shit back.
And when you see me like that, I ain't necessarily talking about a motherfucker that look like Donald Trump. I might be talking about a nigga that look like Sam Jackson.
I put a definition on that. The
Okay,
definition to
let
it.
me make that clear. The white man and the black man are the same motherfucking folks. Okay? Black, Blake, still the same thing. And you want to know what? Let's spin the block. Fuck it. Let's shoot up the block. Let's shoot up a couple of blocks. Now I'm feeling violent. There you go, Doc. I don't know where Cousin Veet went.
Hey, have y'all ever done a room talking about like the over 300 different type of blacks, like in different regions, different on different continents?
Well, yes, we have, especially when we're talking about these so-called Africans, right? Because these is the Europeans that was sent into South Central North America. It's still going back to these same folks, which includes the Moors, the Berbers, some Syrians, right? Because this is where the voodoo come from, the Babylonians. Egyptians, Babylonians, where do y'all think they fled to? They got their own history. Their bloodline got their own portions of war and history. All of that shit is documented on their end too. And it's relative to going back to who's the genealogy of who. If it wasn't important, it probably wouldn't be in the Bible. And this one begat, and this one begat, and this one begat, and that one begat, and that one begat, all the way back to Adam. You open up the book of Matthew, right? Look what happens to the people that don't honor their mother and their father. Niggas got Nefertiti tattoo on their chest. How you go back to the Holy Roman Empire? What happened? What's wrong with Pearly May? Grandma Billie Jean wasn't no good? Niggas went to Nefertiti. They got King Tut. What happened? Your daddy? What happened? Wasn't no Uncle Earl tattoos. They ain't like them names. These were slave names. So crazy. These slave names is how all of these people that are federally recognized had to steal these same slave names. It's crazy. In order to become Native Americans. That's fucking nuts. Why would they need African slave names that the master gave us in order to prove that they was American Indians and only to order to become Native Americans? Somebody, you want to help me with that? What we doing? Somebody help me with that. I ain't tripping.
Nope.
And they would have got away with it too if it wasn't for us meddling Indians.
Yep.
Well, who was the people screaming, don't fuck with these last names? That's the name the master gave us, and changed their names to everything but William Jones. Some niggas changed to the Tumumbuntu, whatever. James and Toomey. Talking about some juicy fruit. They changed their names. They came back from Vietnam and they was still mad, feel like they wasn't getting no respect on after what they did after they gave service. They found the right people that was mentally under siege, right? Because you don't know everything about what they seen when they went to Vietnam. They was young fellas and they went there and they had friendly fire that was killing a lot of them. They didn't seen a lot. And from my uncle understanding, he said, I didn't come back gay and I ain't take no drugs. He's seen a lot of people that went into the service that didn't die. They was getting high over there. A lot of shit around 68, the summer of love, right? You had all the white people dressing like Indians with the feathers and the hippies and the bandanas. Yes, they did. Everything was peace and love, right? Which became a part of the goddamn AIM symbol. American Indian movement, which came after the Civil Rights Act. Conveniently after the Civil Rights Act. And in the next few years, Nixon makes them restructure themselves. Okay. See, we don't got to defend the Indian that we are with these folks. They done had the microphone for hundreds of years, really, when you think about it. But when we get our 5 minutes in front of the right motherfucking people, as a people, for the people, by the people, we not going to waste no time getting to it. The law, real simple. Taxation without representation. Genocide and ethnocide, policide. Because politically we was oppressed because we didn't have the right people representing us at no point in history, but they used our numbers and our bodies for their votes and to create representatives and seats to represent people that didn't exist on fucking paper. The crime has already been done. It's committed every day. I don't got to defend my Indian, but I can defend my position here in America quite flat. And everybody else should be able to do the same. The motherfuckers that been getting treated special should be able to show how special the fuck they is. Real simple. Indians are people too. I don't really got a lot else to say, y'all. I love y'all. We've been on here 3 hours, had a good time. It's a beautiful day in Indian country. I want to shout out Urban Indian Heritage Society, First Tribe Nation. I want to shout out you beautiful ones in the chat. My people on my panel, my folks, Good Gator, Cousin Davida, Dr. Fontaine, Sukla Berry, Quiet Robinson. I appreciate y'all. I'm glad y'all pulled up. And everybody for coming, tuning in. We love y'all, yo. We're going to keep it P. We're going to keep it P. And we're going to apply that pressure, right? Just keep it P. You ain't got to, they want to get political, you get political. But you know what your political situation is and where your political situation should go, right? And as far as misclassification, we could disagree on a lot of other stuff. But if that happened to you, you better get on board because this is easy winner chicken dinner. And that's all I'm going to say. I love y'all. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. If not us, then who? And if not now, then when? Chapisa Lachi K.